today. Well, good morning, and thank you for being here. And I want to thank Police Chief Dostal especially, and the Cedar Rapids Police Department for hosting us here today. Thank you for that. I'm joined here today by a number of people, and I just want to give them a shout out for their involvement and their dedication to cold cases. I have Alyssa Shear, who was with the Johnson County Sheriff's Office. She's the one with the canine, and that's a very special canine over there, Rudy. And then we also have Trevor Killian from the Tama County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Kunkel from the Johnson County Sheriff, Lieutenant Corbin Payne, who's from the Waterloo PD, Dave Buter from the Lynn County Sheriff's Office, Tim Paynes from Lynn County Sheriff's Office, Sean Ireland from the Lynn County Sheriff's Office, and who is also head of the Iowa State Sheriffs and Deputies Association, a real leader in the law enforcement community, Scott Irwin from the FBI, Jim McMillan from the FBI, and of course, Sheriff Gardner, who's here with me, Sheriff here in Lynn County, Tony Robinson from the Cedar Rapids Police Department, Bryson Geringer from Cedar Rapids Police Department, Jody Ewing, who is the creator of IowaColdCase.org. I recommend it to you if you haven't seen that website, IowaColdCases.org. Kenneth Washburn from Cedar Rapids PD, J.D. Smith from the Cedar Rapids PD, Nick Maybanks, who's the Lynn County Attorney, and then John Thorup, who's here with the Iowa State Patrol as well. So hope I didn't leave anybody out, because we've got so much great law enforcement support. And also have a number of family members of victims here with us today, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But as a prosecutor, I fight for victims and families and to bring criminals to justice. And as a prosecutor, nothing weighs heavier on my heart than a family left in the dark or a murderer walking free. And I promised on the campaign trail back when I ran for Attorney General that we would create a unit that is dedicated to solving cold cases. And I'm glad to say today that we've delivered on that promise. My office's new cold case unit investigates unsolved murders and works to promote and provide families with some long overdue answers. I want to thank the legislature and the governor for providing the funding we need to launch our cold case unit, and just absolutely, we could not do it without the legislative support and funding. The cold case unit officially started with funding yesterday because that's the beginning of our state's fiscal year. And I just want to say a thank you to Senator McClintock, Chairman Losey, Senator Weiner, Senator Taylor, Senator Gruenhagen, Representative Gerhold, Senator Donahue, and Representative Thorup, because we couldn't do this without you. And I just would note there's a lot of bipartisan strong support for a cold case unit here in Iowa, and it's great to see everybody working together to make that happen, so thank you for that. You know, Iowa has over 400 unsolved cold cases, and there's more than 40 here in Lynn County alone. And there's a case in nearly all of our 99 counties in Iowa. You know, most of us, when we think about a cold case, we can think about a case off the top of our head right now that we still remember. And when someone is murdered or goes missing, it affects not just their friends and family who miss them forever, but the entire community mourns their loss. And when we're talking about cold case numbers, they're not just numbers. We're talking about real victims and real families. Families who've been stripped of birthdays, holidays, weddings, and graduations with their loved one. And we know there's nothing tougher in life than losing a loved one. And when that hole is created in your life, it's hard to find closure without answers, or knowing that the person who took them from you walks free. Everyone here with me wearing a sticker or a name tag you can see is the family member of a cold case victim. With us we have the families of Julie Benning, Josh Wellman, and Willie Brox. And I want to thank the families for being here today. We feel for your loss, and please know we all care about you, and we will never give up on finding justice. I also want to thank the heroes we have here in law enforcement with us today, and your partnership is absolutely crucial as we work to crack these cases. The cold case unit that we're building is made up of 3 investigators and 1 dedicated cold case prosecutor. This team will be in lean regions across the state to work on local cases. Our cold case unit will bring fresh eyes to cold cases, and we know that with time, new evidence can come to light. And with technological advances, we are more prepared than ever to make progress on these cases. While we're just now launching our cold case unit, our law enforcement in Iowa have been working hard on cold cases for a long time with limited resources. And I'm especially proud to be here in Cedar Rapids at the Cedar Rapids PD because the Cedar Rapids Police Department has been a trailblazer in our state with the creation of its own unit dedicated to solving cold cases. And it's been a successful unit at that. It was here in Cedar Rapids that our law enforcement solved and prosecuted the Michelle Martinko case. And we have the prosecutor who prosecuted that case here with us today, Nick Maybanks, who's now your county attorney, but I believe at the time Nick was the assistant county attorney. Yep. In 2018, the Cedar Rapids PD solved the 39-year-old case of Michelle Martinko's murder. In 1979, Michelle was 18, and she was stabbed to death in a mall parking lot. After law enforcement had exhausted all their leads, the case became cold. A new investigator later discovered the killer's blood when reviewing the case file in 2006. That blood was used to create a DNA profile that led law enforcement to Michelle's murderer. He was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. While that doesn't bring Michelle back, answers were uncovered and justice was served. In another Cedar Rapids case, a killer was identified 50 years after Maureen Brubaker Farley's body was discovered atop a car by teenage hunters. Maureen was 17 when she went missing in 1971, and she was found dead by a fatal blow to the head. Through DNA technology, the Cedar Rapids Police Department was able to confirm the killer in 2021, and the case was closed with no prosecution because the murderer died in 2013. Although he died before being brought to justice, Maureen's family was finally given the answers they needed. And no matter how much time has passed, we know that the wounds from losing a loved one feel just as fresh as when it first happened. If our cold case unit, working together with law enforcement and prosecutors, can solve even just one case or provide one family with answers, then it's all worth it. The Cedar Rapids Police Department is a prime example of the great work that law enforcement does to solve cold cases. But most states also have a cold case unit at the state level, and now Iowa does too. Since I took office, we have prosecuted 2 cold cases in the Attorney General's office. Just weeks ago, our office prosecuted a case from 2012 over the murder of Kenneth Carl Gallmeyer. Last year, we prosecuted 16 murders overall, and we are not stopping there. With this unit, we will dedicate a full-time team to cracking cold cases and ensuring justice is served. We will partner with our law enforcement partners like the Cedar Rapids Police Department and the Lynn County Sheriff's Office and other law enforcement represented here today to detect leads and to investigate cases. And we will use every tool at our disposal to get families answers. It takes law enforcement, investigators, prosecutors, and community members working together to make a difference. No case is too far gone. No case is too old. Every tip helps. It might just be the lead that we need to get to the bottom of a case. So I say to Iowans, if you know something, say something. Reach out to my office. you can call our cold case unit directly at 1-800-242-5100, or you can email us at coldcase@ag.iowa.gov. Because every victim deserves justice, and every family deserves answers. No one should get away with murder. Thank you. Now I'd like to hand it off to Steve Ponsetto. Steve is the investigator in my office who has organized the framework for the cold case unit and will be leading our new cold case unit. Steve?
Thank you, Attorney General Bird, for your vision, your vision of hope and justice. The Iowa Attorney General's Cold Case Initiative is about three things. It's about justice, answers, and accountability. My name is Steve Ponsetto. I'm a retired Iowa DCI Special Agent. I spent 33 years in law enforcement in the Iowa Department of Public Safety as a state trooper and a special agent. I'm honored to be part of the Attorney General's team in the new Iowa Cold Case Initiative. Justice for victims, answers for families, accountability for the offender. These are the goals of this Cold Case Initiative. The officers you see standing in front of you want justice. The family members of loved ones lost want justice. The officers seek answers. The families also seek answers. These officers and families want those responsible held accountable. There is a lot in common standing before you, and by standing together, we can make a difference. To get this initiative started, one of the first items was to define what is a cold case. There is no legal definition. States and jurisdictions vary across the country. But the Iowa Attorney General's Cold Case Initiative developed the following. What is a cold case? It is any death case identified as a homicide or a missing person with suspicious circumstances or unidentified human remains, and when active leads have been exhausted as determined by the originating law enforcement agency. I'd like to read that again. It's any death case identified as a homicide, a missing person with suspicious circumstances, or unidentified human remains, and when active leads have been exhausted as determined by the originating law enforcement agency. Law enforcement in the state of Iowa is second to none. Whether it be the sheriff's office, the police department, DCI, county attorney, or the attorney general's office, the over 400 cold cases in the state of Iowa matter to us all. Currently, various Iowa law enforcement agencies have investigated and continue to investigate these unresolved cases. The Cold Case Initiative is about assisting either these efforts or providing the opportunity for a law enforcement agency to examine their cold cases, whereas current staffing levels have made this a challenge. The Attorney General's Cold Case Initiative will offer to be a partner with law enforcement and county attorneys with the goal of furthering a cold case and delivering justice. The new Attorney General's Cold Case investigators will live in different locations across Iowa in hopes of providing a better service. The Cold Case Unit is not replacing anyone or any agency, but rather providing the opportunity to further examine a cold case with a fresh set of eyes and provide the ability to establish and maintain a focused investigative effort. The new Assistant Attorney General assigned to prosecute these cold cases will partner with the county attorney to develop and implement prosecution strategies in these challenging cases. With stickers on their shirts and jackets, family members of cold cases here today send us all a message. And that message is hope. For most, hope is all they have. When we leverage government resources, hope may become optimism, with the ultimate goal of reality. In closing, when you combine this initiative and the strong Iowa partnerships that already exist between the Iowa State Sheriffs and Deputies Association, the Iowa Police Chiefs Association, the Iowa County Attorneys Association, the Iowa Department of Public Safety, the Iowa Department of Corrections, and the FBI, the Iowa Attorney General's Office is encouraged by what this cold case initiative may bring to the people of Iowa. All of us working together for a common goal is what Iowans expect. Together, we can speak for those who cannot. Together, we can make a difference for those seeking answers. And together, we can bring justice to those responsible. Everyone in this room is a partner. If you know something, say something. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'd like to next introduce Chief Dostal from right here in Cedar Rapids. As I noted, the Cedar Rapids PD has really led the way in terms of their cold case unit and are a great example to all of us. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Attorney General Bird, and good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us as we continue to recognize the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation and the Iowa Attorney General's Office commitment to solving crimes that have left families and communities without answers. The new cold case unit is a monumental step forward for law enforcement agencies without the resources, staffing, and funding to address crimes that were unsolvable at the time. Our collective hope with this new unit is to hold someone accountable for the most atrocious of crimes and bring closure to families who so desperately need it. In Cedar Rapids, we've been fortunate to have an active cold case unit since 2010. We started that unit with a retired police captain and a retired DCI agent. In 2016, investigator Matt Denlinger began work on our cold cases, and we have successfully brought justice and answers to 4 separate cases. Those include the 1971 homicide of Denise Farley, the 1979 homicide of Michelle Martinko, the 1989 homicide of Brian Schappert, and the 2007 homicide of Dennis First. Both the Michelle Martinko and Dennis First cases resulted in jury trial convictions. All these successes prove that cold case work is necessary. The unfortunate truth is there are more cases to be solved than there are investigative teams. And as law enforcement professionals, we're proud to stand here today as Iowa renews its vow of protection and justice for victims. Cooperation between law enforcement agencies is a vital element in successfully cracking open cold cases. I'm encouraged by the Attorney General's plan for this new unit and look forward to offering any assistance our department can provide to other law enforcement agencies around the state. Several of our own successes were made possible by interagency assistance with research, surveillance, and interviews. Attorney General Bird, members of the new cold case unit, and most importantly, families searching for answers. I look forward to the work that will come from this new endeavor. Thank you all for attending.
Well, thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Lynn County Sheriff Brian Gardner for some comments about how law enforcement and the state can work together with a cold case unit. Thank you, Sheriff.
You're welcome. Good afternoon. I am Lynn County Sheriff Brian Gardner, and thank you for having me today here, Attorney General. I'm not necessarily going to repeat what those speaking before me have said rather eloquently, and those after me will say just as eloquently. But I thought I'd bring a little bit of perspective to you folks since we are here in Lynn County. Currently, the Lynn County Sheriff's Office is has worked on 4 cold cases. The first one dating back to 1959, and the most recent one dating back to 1983. And obviously, over the years, the technology that has become available to us has enabled us to work even harder on these cold cases to solve them and bring justice to the families and the victim. And we are anxious to work with Attorney General Bird's cold case unit. And we're excited to work with our other law enforcement agencies as well. To put a little bit of personal twist on this, it's not just the families that often grieve. I would have graduated from high school with Michelle Martinko. She would have been in my graduating class from Kennedy in 1980, and I would have been in her very first class that she would have come back to school with after the night she was murdered. So it does hit close to home, not only for the victims and the victims' families, but also to the people that know our victims as well. And I've been fortunate enough to be put in the position that I can help to get justice for those families. My deputies are working hard to ensure that. We're using the technology that is now available to us that was not previously available to us, and you're seeing CRPD is really good evidence of that with Detective Denlinger in using the new technologies and solving those cold case murders that we all want to get solved and bring justice to the family. So thank you for allowing me to speak before you today.
Well, and thank you, Sheriff, for your partnership. Appreciate it. I'd next like to introduce Nick Maybanks. We were county attorneys together, and Nick you have a great county attorney here, and always someone that I've enjoyed working with, and he's a great leader within the County Attorneys Association. As you'll remember, he was the prosecutor of Michelle Martinko's case. So, Nick?
Thank you so much for those kind words. Appreciate it, and I've enjoyed working with you too. Yep. My name is Nick Maybanks. I'm the Lynn County Attorney. I'm going to speak a little bit about the Michelle Martinko case and about the importance of cold case units, and this one in particular. In December of 1979, Michelle Martinko was brutally stabbed to death in a parking lot at Westdale Mall in southwest Cedar Rapids. Her unsolved murder loomed over this community for nearly 40 years, haunting her family and her friends, members of the public, and touched many people's lives. It's already been noted that the hardworking professionals of the Cedar Rapids Police Department never gave up on her case. Literally generations of investigators worked on this case, kept following leads, and kept submitting physical evidence to review. Finally, in 2018, there was a break in the case that ultimately led the Cedar Rapids Police Department and the Lynn County Attorney's Office to arrest and charge Jerry Burns with her murder. He was linked to the crime through DNA. And some of us remember when he was confronted with the DNA evidence, he said, "Go ahead and test my DNA." We did, and it showed that he did it, as we knew. I was honored to be the attorney who prosecuted this case on behalf of the state of Iowa and Lynn County, and a jury convicted him of first-degree murder in February of 2020. I'm honored to be in the room here today with the people who worked closely with that case. Retired DCI agent J.D. Smith, retired Captain Kenneth Washburn, at the time Lieutenant Dave Dostal, who was the head of the investigative division, and of course the superstar of the case, Matt Denlinger, who's still working on cold cases to this day. This case stands out because of the notoriety it received, and the use of genetic genealogy was the first of its kind. But the grief experienced by Michelle Martinko's family and friends and this community happens in all cold cases, no matter how many years or decades they remain unsolved. For the survivors, the grief doesn't go away. There's no finality for them when the case remains unsolved, and there's no justice as there was for Michelle Martinko. We know how busy our police departments are and how hard they work, but unfortunately, crime doesn't stop when a case is investigated and becomes cold. Departments have to move on to the next case and investigate those cases. and those matters. But the cold ones are never forgotten. Unfortunately, though, the resources are slim. That's why this cold case unit of the Attorney General's office that is being formed is so important to the citizens of the state of Iowa and the family and friends of these deceased victims. The overarching message here is that our criminal justice system of law enforcement and investigators will not be letting these cases fade away. There will be dedicated professionals keeping the investigations going until the day, like in Michelle's case, justice can be delivered. On behalf of the citizens of Linn County, we are deeply grateful to the Attorney General and the Attorney General's office for launching this cold case unit, and we can't wait to work with them.
Well, I'm thankful to have so many family members here today. And like we said, we're talking about people, not numbers. And I'm grateful for the family that could be here today so that we never forget about your loved one. We will always be looking. We will always be working for justice. But there are many who can't be here today or don't have family members that can be here and go through this. So I appreciate all the family here today. And as a prosecutor, often we will be in court and victims can prepare a victim impact statement that is delivered to the judge before sentencing. And sometimes as a county attorney, I would get to be the one that reads the statement if the person decided not to. And I do have a statement that's written by Joshua Wellman's family that are here today with us. And I'm going to go ahead and read this, but this is from Josh Wellman's family, and this is in their words. November 12, 2015 was the last day that we saw and spoke to Josh. 4 days later, we made a missing person report at the Cedar Rapids Police Department. It didn't take long for us to realize that the police department was struggling to find answers for us. We were quickly losing hope of finding Josh. Years went by with only questions. In 2019, the Cedar Rapids Police Department Cold Case Unit contacted us. We sat with investigators at our kitchen table as they told us they were going to reopen Josh's case. Since that time, we have been in continuous communication with the CRPD Cold Case Unit. They have been very open to collaborating with us as we have provided them with ideas and information to help us find Josh. We would like to personally thank investigators Matt Dinglinger, Ken Washburn, and J.D. Smith for all of their efforts with this investigation. Cold cases can easily be forgotten and swept under the rug. Matt and his team have made it very clear that the Cedar Rapids Police Department will not forget about our family or Josh. We hope that this new state cold case program will provide the same level of support to other families that we have received from the Cedar Rapids Cold Case Unit. So thank you for that statement. So with that, we'll go ahead and open it up to any questions you might have. Yes, so we requested from the legislature $536,000 per year to fund 3 investigators and 1 prosecutor, and the legislature and the governor fully funded our request.
Where are those prosecutors and, I know you said it's going to be across the state. Do you know which counties they're going to be located in?
So the prosecutor will likely be located in our office in Des Moines, but all of our prosecutors in our office and statewide prosecutions travel the state regularly. And then the 3 investigators will be based on law enforcement intelligence network regions. And so roughly Eastern, Central, and Western is where they will be based.
With so many cases that have gone cold, how do you plan to prioritize which cases to look into at first?
Yeah. Well, our office has already laid the groundwork for some of this with Steve Ponsetto's work in setting up the framework for the cold case unit. So they review all the cases to see which ones might be initially the most promising. But I want to make it clear, we don't give up on any case. You know, we will work for justice, keep on working, keep on looking, because no one should get away with murder. And if we are able to solve just one cold case and get justice for a family, send a criminal to prison, or give that family the answers that they deserve, it makes it all worth it.
Have you had a lot of applicants since the applications went live, and a pretty positive response?
We've had a lot of interest in the cold case investigator positions, and information about that position is available on our Attorney General's office website.
What about from the families? I know we carried the Des Moines press release, saw it on the news. Have you gotten a lot of response from families about this?
We have, and every family is different, and everyone feels the pain of loss differently. And as a prosecutor, I know that bringing this cold case issue up has caused people to think about what happened to their loved one, but I think which is very hard. But it also, I think, shows the support that the entire state has for working together to help solve these cold cases and making sure that we get justice for families and that we never get up. No one should ever get away with murder, that we never give up on justice. And so every family is different, though, and everyone goes through that differently. That's part of the reason we have Rudy here. Rudy is a canine who supports people going through difficult things, whether it's the family members here, or it can be law enforcement or prosecutors that have had a tough day, or firefighters. It can also be kids in depositions or going to court. It's so important that we support our family members who have gone through this. It's very difficult for them.
When do you expect the unit to be filled and ready to go?
Well, as of yesterday, we have the funding, so that was the holdup. So we're going through the hiring process and are looking forward to hiring some great investigators that have that dedication to solving cold cases. So we are open now for leads. So please make sure that Iowans know where they can reach out. Even if they know something that may seem to be small, call our office, email us. Give us that information, or talk to your local law enforcement agency. But we're open for business today.
All right,
Thank you. Yep.
I'm not too bad.
last year and a half. Another one. It's okay. So you feel like people better. So now we have a Jody right here. God alone, Jody is in no time. Created that, created the website, and then she has every day she's posting anniversary cases. 50 years ago today, Leota Camp died, or Wendy Holmes' mom, Lily Randolph died. You see the names, you see the faces, you see the birthdays they will give. You're seeing their children, their grandchildren, and they're writing and they're posting comments. And then Jody's personal message box is flooded with people asking her for more details. And she pioneered this whole entire thing. This is almost 20 years ago. Now we have podcasts all over the place. Mostly as if it's their fault about it. Conference and people saying, we don't want murderers like you. And it's hard to fight things that feel so much better.
Which is good.
Even if it's 60 there's this DNA that specializes in water and great. We can still find 30-year-old, 40-year-old DNA and identify them. Chances are they're all dead now. At least there's hope because dig them up. The other something like that. Come to the guy over there. Just that, thank you to everybody for working so hard. It seems like a lot. But as the Attorney General said, it was one. And it was worth it. Thank you. Thank you. Oh yeah, he's the big station. He's constantly over there.
family perspective, you can share. Yeah, you guys can see that. Yeah. So this is our photographer, Nick, right here. Where do you... Or Grandma. Oh, hi, I'm Abigail. Nice to meet you. Okay. What was the victim's name again? Julie Bennett.
Started, right?
No, we have not started. Would I ask? You don't have to, like how we think about the program. It's up to you. You don't have to. These are, do you want to sit down? Nephew, niece, and then mother. I would have just to face this way. Okay, if I could get you guys to kind of stand together and just face this way. And then let me know where to stand. I think I've already actually met with Carol. Well, yeah. Okay, so during the interview, if you guys want to just look at me, then the camera's not even there. But if I could just get you guys to say and spell your first and last names and your relationship to Julie.
My name is Miles Kane, MILESKEAN, and she was my mom's sister.
My name is Tyler Bloomquist, TYLERBLOOMQUIST. Julie Benning was my aunt, my mom's sister.
I'm Joanne Benning, and I'm Julie Benning's mother.
So talk to me a little bit about why you guys are coming out here today and what you think of the new program, and I guess talk about more of that personal experience with you guys.
Yeah, I wanted to learn more about it too because my mom recently found out about it, and I haven't lost anybody the way she did. Like she died before I was born, but I see her like need for answers, and, like that it consumes her, and that she would love to have that, and I hope she gets it. This helps with that.
I'm here today. Well, it's kind of a little crazy. I actually had a pretty profound dream last week, and then I called one of my cousins, and she's like, you have to call Aunt Carol because she's literally doing this press conference on cold cases, and the dream was related to my family members being murdered and Carol being the only one left. And I am very, very excited to see the enthusiasm the Iowa Attorney General has and the care and compassion, because some event like this and the way that we have lost our family member, even if we haven't met them because they passed or were murdered before we even existed, it still has affected all of us. And I am here today because of this event and this tragic event, and I want to be here to support my family and find answers for everybody.
And I'm here to cooperate with them, and I'm very glad that they're looking into this. And after 40-some years, kind of give up on justice. They won't bring her back, but I'd like to ask the person why was it necessary to kill her? What did she know? What did she do? She liked everybody, was warm and friendly, and why they have to do that. Would like to know before I die that someone is going to pay for this.
So what has that experience been like during those 40-something years? What's been going through your mind? And how difficult has that been?
Well, to justify it, I think maybe there's a reason we don't know. Maybe finding out what they did to her would be so painful as a mother. I don't want to know that she suffered or was tortured. But I just think there's some big cover-up going on there at the time that they're hiding. And yeah, I don't give up hope, but I'm not the only one in Waverly that has lost someone. But I just hope that the truth would come out for who did it. If anyone helped cover it up, I think it should be known.
So are you feeling hopeful about the new program, considering that it's...
Well, yes, it's got to be helpful, because I see these shows on TV where they solve cases after years and years. So I never give up hope. I hope it succeeds for them. I'm glad that they're doing it.
Well, that was all the questions I had. Nick, is there anything else you wanted to ask him?
No, thank you for.
Yeah, thank you guys again for speaking with us. We really appreciate it. Yes. Parts of it will be on TV. This will be on the 4, 5, and 6 o'clock on Channel 9 or KCRG.
But you don't know when?
4, 5, and 6 o'clock, and then
Today?
yes, today.
Okay.
And after the 6 o'clock airs, it will be archived on our website, so you can watch it at any time. Thank you.
Take
I
care.
can't think of anything. Let me double check and look. Okay, yeah, I do have a couple questions for her. Okay. Gotcha. Oh, I wasn't. I just had another question.
That's what I thought too.
What the hell would they
I
want?
don't know, but
Nobody told me to ask them. Let there be light, huh?
It'll be better that way, otherwise you're going to want to call it blue behind your.
Right. Do we want lab or stick?
Sticks or
And thanks for waiting to ask about anything
Yeah.
else.
She
We
just wanted
have
you
the
on hand. I'll
families
find her
there,
out from
so
there.
I really appreciate that. Because their family members are number one priority.
Yeah.
Right.
Appreciate that a lot, so thank you.
All set? Yep. Okay.
You can
You
go
got,
ahead.
you got the list. You go ahead.
Oh, I was mainly just gonna ask about today. I just had one question. So you mentioned law enforcement, they can request help for these resources. What sorts of resources are going to be provided?
Yes, so our cold case investigators are going to be looking at all the cold cases in their region and working with local law enforcement to determine what cases we can start working and looking into.
So is there going to be like DNA technology that's going to be available, or I guess what sort, for
Yeah.
law enforcement that are very limited on resources,
Well,
what can they expect?
we would work with all law enforcement to help them have the resources they need in order to do scientific testing or DNA testing. The most important thing, though, is law enforcement are stretched so thin in many communities. Having a state cold case unit will really help sheriff's offices and police departments work these cold cases. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah. Appreciate you. And did you?